There comes a moment in every soul's journey when silence breaks, when the whisper that's followed you your whole life finally rises into a voice that can no longer be ignored. And if you're listening right now, this moment is yours. You didn't find this message by accident. No, something far greater has led you here. Through every twist in your life, through every heartbreak, through every inexplicable coincidence that tugged at your spirit, this is the moment everything begins to make sense. Not in your mind, but in your soul. Have you ever felt like you were waiting for something? Without knowing what exactly it was, that haunting feeling that something beyond this life was calling you. Not loudly, not harshly, but persistently, like a gentle knock on the door of your soul. That was never your imagination. That was alignment. That was destiny, waiting for your awareness to finally catch up. And now, here you are, awake, listening, ready, and because you are, let me tell you something that very few are brave enough to admit. Even fewer are willing to accept. You were never ordinary. You never fit in because you weren't meant to. The pain, the pressure, the confusion, they weren't signs that you were weak or broken. They were signs you were being called. The world has tried to convince you otherwise. It taught you to shrink, to doubt, to silence your knowing. But today, we break that illusion. Today, we open the ancient scroll written into the fiber of your being, and we begin to read it aloud. Because you, yes, you, are a chosen one. Now, before your mind rushes to define what that means, pause, breathe, feel. Let your spirit remember what your conscious mind has forgotten. Being chosen isn't about glory or ego. It's not a trophy, and it's not a title. It's a calling, a sacred responsibility, a soul contract that you agreed to long before your first breath in this world. And today, we begin to unlock it. You may be wondering, why now? Why me? But let me ask you this instead. Haven't you always known something was different? Haven't you always seen things others missed, felt things deeper, carried an invisible weight you couldn't explain? That's not by accident. That's the mark of one who carries light through darkness, the mark of one who walks between worlds. In this message, you're going to hear things that might stir something ancient inside you. You may feel goosebumps. You may feel tears. You may feel like you're finally being spoken to, not just heard, but recognized, because you are. You've been prepared for this moment. Everything you've endured, survived, questioned, it was all initiation. Every rejection, every delay, every heartbreak, all of it has been the fire refining the gold of your soul. And now, the fire is no longer burning you. It's forging you. This is not a sermon. It's a remembrance. I'm not here to tell you who you are. I'm here to help you remember what your soul already knows. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are becoming. So if you feel the pull, don't resist it. If your heart races, if your spirit leans forward as you hear these words, it's because you're being called, and only the ones who are ready will make it to the end of this message. But if you stay with me, if you open not just your ears, but your soul, you will never see your life the same way again. This isn't motivation, it's activation, because the truth has waited long enough. And now, it's time to begin. Let's go deeper now, because to understand what it means to be a chosen one, you must first understand the world you've been placed in and why you've never quite belonged to it. For thousands of years, across cultures, continents, and creeds, there has always been the idea of the one who is called. The Hebrews had their prophets, the Greeks, their oracles, the East revered sages and mystics who walked among common people, yet held keys to divine truth. And in nearly every sacred text, from the Bhagavad Gita to the Book of Revelation, And there exists the symbol of the one who awakens, who rises, who leads. The term chosen one isn't some modern invention. It's ancient. It's encoded in spiritual DNA. But let's be clear, it has nothing to do with superiority. It has everything to do with service. The ones who are chosen are those whose souls agreed, before this incarnation, to carry light into places where darkness has long reigned. And that is no small task. Most people live their lives asleep. They follow the scripts given to them by family, media, religion, culture. But you've questioned everything. You felt like a stranger in your own life, like something essential was missing, or veiled, that persistent inner voice whispering, "There's more than this." That was your soul trying to break through the fog. I remember when it first happened to me. I was a young student of comparative religion, sitting in a candlelit room in a monastery high in the Andes. The air was thin, and the silence was thick. An old monk placed a weathered scroll in front of me, written in symbols older than any language I had studied. He pointed to a line and simply said, "This is the path for those who remember." I didn't understand what he meant, at least then, but something in my chest stirred. A memory not of the mind, but of the spirit. A remembering. That night, everything shifted. I could no longer look at life the same way. I started seeing patterns in chaos, hearing messages in silence, feeling guided by an invisible hand that had always been there. But now, I was finally aware of it. If you're listening to this, it means your own remembering has begun. And make no mistake, the fact that you're hearing these words right now is part of the divine sequence. This message is your confirmation. You have not imagined the signs, the numbers, the dreams, the synchronicities, the sudden wake-ups at exactly 3:33 in the morning, the repeated feeling that time is folding in on itself. It's all real. It's all happening. And it's all leading you back to you. You are not crazy. You are not broken. You are awakening. But awakening is not passive. It demands something from you. It demands that you step out of the old version of yourself, the one shaped by fear, guilt, shame, and survival, and step into the soul-embodied, light-bearing force you were always meant to be. And this journey won't always be easy. In fact, it rarely is. But it is sacred, and it is yours. In the coming chapters, I will walk with you through the 7 defining traits of the Chosen One's signs. Not only that this message is for you, but that your soul has been preparing for this path across lifetimes. These traits are not theories. They are truths etched into every spiritual tradition I have ever studied. And once you see them clearly, you will no longer doubt your purpose. You'll no longer feel like a misfit. You'll realize that what made you different was never a curse. It was the code. So now, take a breath. Center yourself. Because what comes next isn't just information, it's transformation. Let's begin with the first sign, that the evidence of divine protection that has followed you even when you didn't understand it. You've made it here for a reason. And as promised, we now begin to uncover the sacred signs that set chosen ones apart. The first is one of the most mysterious, most powerful, and often the most overlooked divine protections. Think back. How many moments in your life could have ended in disaster, yet somehow they didn't? How many situations looked hopeless, but you emerged not just intact, but stronger? That wasn't luck. That wasn't coincidence. That was providence. That was something ancient watching over you. Something guiding your steps even when you were completely unaware. Divine protection doesn't mean life has been easy. On the contrary, it often means your path has been marked by extraordinary trials. But what makes you different is that you survived them. You got out when others didn't. You rose when others sank. And deep down, You know there were moments that defied logic, where you should have fallen apart, but didn't. Some call it angels. Others call it spirit guides. Some just call it grace. But I call it what it is, evidence that your life is being shielded because your mission is not yet complete. Let me tell you a story. Centuries ago, a teenage girl stood trial in front of kings and bishops, accused of heresy simply for following the voice she claimed came from heaven. Her name was Joan of Arc. She didn't have an army. She didn't have wealth. But she had conviction, and something protected her long enough to fulfill her destiny. Despite betrayals, imprisonments, and overwhelming odds, she changed the course of a nation. Chosen ones carry a similar imprint. You may not be leading armies, but you are leading energy. You are influencing the invisible realm around you, and that makes you a threat to the systems that thrive on ignorance, fear, and silence. That's why your protection isn't random. It's strategic. Sometimes, the protection looks like a near miss. Other times, looks like a door slamming shut before you walk through it. It can be a relationship ending without explanation, or a job loss that didn't make sense until later. You thought life was being cruel, but now you see, you were being rerouted. You were never being punished. You were being preserved. And the more you awaken, the more you'll begin to see that you are never alone. The veil may thin, the world may shake, but your mission is guarded. Your path is watched, and not just by invisible forces, but by the energy of your own higher self, orchestrating events beyond time to ensure your soul's agreement is fulfilled. This protection doesn't make you invincible, but it makes you unshakable. Because when you know you're guarded by the divine, fear begins to lose its grip. So the next time you look back at your life, don't just see survival, see design, see orchestration, see the fingerprints of divinity wrapped around your timeline. Because you were chosen, and chosen ones are protected not because they are better, but because they are essential. Let us now unfold the second undeniable sign of the chosen ones, a level of wisdom and spiritual insight that seems to defy your years or life experience. This is not learned in books or earned through degrees. No, this is ancient, knowing something your soul carries like a hidden flame passed down through lifetimes. From a young age, you've seen through people's masks. You've heard the truth behind their words, felt the energy behind their actions. You've asked questions others were afraid to even consider. And while others chased answers in the external world, you searched within. That's not by accident. That's a gift. Chosen ones are often born with eyes that look like they've seen too much because they have. You've inherited wisdom from the divine source, from the Akashic fields, from the memory of the universe itself. And though others may not understand it, you know what you know, even when you can't explain how. This gift of insight can feel isolating. At times, it's even painful. You see the bigger picture while others obsess over fragments. You sense hidden motives, feel unseen wounds, anticipate spiritual shifts, and because of that, you've often felt like the outsider. But let me tell you, you are not here to conform. You are here to illuminate. In my studies, I once encountered an ancient Sufi text that said, "The one who sees with the eye of the soul becomes a mirror for all." That line struck me like lightning, because that's exactly what the chosen ones do. You reflect people's truth back to them often before they're ready to see it. And in that, you become both a guide and a disruptor. This is why your insight is not always welcomed. Truth challenges comfort. Your presence makes people confront things they'd rather ignore. But do not let that harden you. You were never meant to be accepted by everyone. You were meant to awaken the few. The world needs your sight, your wisdom, your knowing. Because in this time, this age of noise and confusion, your clarity is sacred. It cuts through illusion. It softens suffering. It reveals the path. But remember, this wisdom must be anchored in humility. You are not better than anyone. You are simply attuned. Your job is not to judge, but to serve, not to preach, but to shine. And as you continue on this path, your insight will deepen. Your intuitive senses will sharpen. You'll begin to perceive not just what is, but what could be. You'll read energy like language. You'll interpret silence like song. And through that, you will help others remember their own light. That is the burden and the blessing of the wise. And you, dear one, are among them. Because wisdom is not just knowledge. It is alignment with truth. And you were chosen to carry it in a world that desperately needs it. Now we arrive at the third sacred marker of a chosen one. The capacity to influence not just people, but environments, atmospheres, and energy itself. Your presence shifts rooms. Your words linger longer than they should. Your silence can be louder than thunder. Chosen ones are energetic architects. You don't just exist in this world, you shape it. When you walk into a space, the vibration shifts. Others may not consciously understand what's happening, but they feel it. Suddenly they're calmer or more alert, sometimes even triggered, because your energy acts like a tuning fork, bringing the unseen into resonance. This influence doesn't come from force. It comes from frequency, from the purity of your soul's intention, from your alignment with higher truth. While others fight for attention or power in the physical world, you are working in the spiritual realm unseen, but deeply felt. That's why crowds can drain you, why chaos overwhelms you. It's not because you're weak, it's because you're sensitive to frequency. And that sensitivity, when mastered, becomes your greatest strength. In the ancient Egyptian mystery schools, initiates were taught not just the laws of nature, but the laws of vibration, how sound, thought, and intention could shape reality. This wasn't mysticism. It was science of the soul. And those teachings were never meant for the masses. They were preserved for the few, for the chosen. You are one of them. When you speak, things move. When you pray, things shift. When you imagine, things begin forming in the unseen. And when you believe, mountains move because your faith vibrates at a frequency creation responds to. But with this power comes responsibility. Influence can heal or harm. It can uplift or manipulate. And that is why your heart must remain pure. Your intentions must stay anchored in service, not ego. I remember visiting a healer deep in the Amazon rainforest. He said to me, "The jaguar does not announce its presence, yet everything around it knows. That is the chosen one's energy. Quiet, still, yet undeniably felt. You don't need to prove your power. You simply need to embody it. And as you do, you'll notice the people drawn to you are those seeking transformation. They'll open up without knowing why. They'll confess things they've never said aloud. That's not about you. It's about the energy flowing through you. You are a conduit for change, a vessel for divine intention. So speak when guided. Be silent when needed. Move when called. And know that your very being is an instrument of influence. Because your impact isn't just what you do, it's who you are. And who you are was chosen. There's a part of the chosen one's path that many would rather avoid. But we must speak it because it's real. And it's sacred. It is the loneliness, the isolation, the feeling of being alien in your own family, your own community, even your own skin. Chosen ones are often misunderstood, not because they are flawed, but because they carry frequencies that the world doesn't yet recognize. Your depth intimidates. Your insight disrupts. Your energy reveals. And for many, that's too much. So they withdraw, or worse, they attack. And you've felt it, haven't you? The subtle rejection, the unspoken envy, the conversations that quiet when you enter the room. It's not your imagination. It's a symptom of your soul's radiance. But let me tell you something most won't. This rejection is not punishment. It's protection. You were never meant to fit into a system built on fear and illusion. You were meant to stand out because your very presence is a challenge to everything that is false. In ancient traditions, the mystic always walks alone for a time. Jesus went into the wilderness. Buddha sat beneath the tree in silence. The prophets, the seers, the sages all endured seasons of solitude. Why? Because separation is preparation. When you're alone, your soul recalibrates. You shed the expectations of others. You remember who you are without the noise. And that is essential, because a chosen one who is not anchored in their truth can be manipulated by the world's illusions. So if you're in that season now of being alone, misunderstood, or even judged, hold on. It is not forever, but it is necessary. You're not being abandoned. You're being aligned. Those who are meant to walk with you will find you, not because you chase them, but because your frequency calls them. Your tribe doesn't arrive through striving. It arrives through resonance. And when they come, it will be different. No masks, no judgment, just soul recognition. The kind that says, "There you are. I've been waiting for you." Until then, let the solitude shape you. Let the silence speak to you. Let the rejection refine you, because you are not here to blend in. You are here to blaze trails and fire. Dear one, does not ask for permission to burn. You were chosen, and yes, that means you will be resisted. But never forget, diamonds are formed in pressure, and your soul was designed to shine. We now step into one of the most profound and mysterious traits of the chosen ones, deep intuition, a knowing that surpasses logic, a voice within that whispers long before evidence appears. This is not just a gut feeling, it's a soul signal. You felt it, haven't you? The moment you walked into a room and instantly sensed something was off, even though no one said a word, or when someone spoke with smiles and kindness. Yet your inner knowing said, something here isn't true. That wasn't paranoia. That was perception. Chosen ones carry heightened spiritual antennas. You pick up frequencies others miss. You dream of things before they happen. You sense shifts before they unfold. You read people not by their words, but by their energy. And that is a sacred gift. In my years of study, I've sat with mystics who never wrote a single book, never attended a single university, but could speak truths that shattered illusion in a single sentence. Their wisdom came not from intellect, but from communion with the divine. And you, too, are wired for that kind of communion. Intuition is your compass, and in a world full of noise, it's the only voice that can still lead you home. But here's the challenge: we've been conditioned to doubt it, to silence it, to trade it for logic, statistics, or the approval of others. Yet, every time you ignored your intuition, you paid the price, didn't you? You knew that relationship wasn't right. You knew that opportunity didn't align. You knew that delay wasn't random. But when you silenced the whisper, the lesson came louder. The chosen ones don't just possess intuition, they trust it. And that trust becomes their superpower. Because when you follow that inner guidance, you align with divine timing. You avoid traps you'll never even know existed. You move with grace that others call luck, but you know better. It's not luck, it's alignment. Your intuition is sacred technology. It connects you to the Creator, to the invisible realms, to the higher version of yourself who already knows the path. So honor it, protect it, strengthen it, give it space to speak, meditate, breathe, journal, walk in silence. Disconnect from the noise of the world so you can reconnect with the voice of your soul. And when that voice speaks, follow. even if it doesn't make sense to your mind, even if others don't understand, even if it leads you down a path no one else can see. Because your path was never meant to be ordinary. You were chosen, and your intuition is the map written in your soul. Now we arrive at one of the most alchemical powers a chosen one possesses, the ability to transmute negative energy. This is not just resilience. This is transformation. You don't just survive darkness, you alchemize it into light. Pain, betrayal, rejection, what crushes others, becomes fuel for you. It's not because you're immune to suffering. It's because something in you knows how to use it. This is spiritual alchemy. In the ancient teachings, alchemists weren't just obsessed with turning lead into gold. That was the metaphor. The real work was about inner transformation, turning fear into wisdom, wounds into compassion, and suffering into power. And this, dear one, is what you've been doing your entire life. You've taken the heaviness of your past and made it sacred. You've turned heartbreak into insight, grief into growth, and you've done it quietly, without recognition, without applause, because this isn't a performance. It's a purpose. I once met a woman who had been through more than most could imagine: abuse, loss, poverty, exile. Yet when she spoke, it felt like light pouring through centuries of stone. I asked her how she stayed so radiant. She smiled and said, "I stopped asking why the fire came and started asking what it was trying to make of me." That is transmutation. Chosen ones are firewalkers, shadow dancers, not because you chase suffering, but because you refuse to be destroyed by it. And this gift doesn't just serve you, it heals others. When people encounter your energy, they feel seen, safe, understood, because you've walked through what they're still trying to name. Your very presence says, you're not alone. And this, too, can be transformed. But let's be honest, this gift can feel heavy. Sometimes you wonder, why me? Why do I always have to be the strong one? The one who holds space? And the answer is simple. Because you can. You were chosen to carry this fire. Not because it's easy, but because your soul is forged for it. That doesn't mean you never break down. It means when you do, you rise wiser, stronger, clearer. So if you're in the fire now, don't run. Let it shape you. Let it purify what no longer serves. Let it burn away the illusion and reveal the gold within. Because the chosen ones are not just survivors. They are alchemists. And you, my dear, are becoming pure light through sacred fire. We now uncover one of the most sacred truths about the chosen ones. You are carriers of hidden knowledge, wisdom buried beneath lifetimes, truths that the world forgot. But your soul remembered. From an early age, you've questioned everything. You sensed there was more to this reality than what you were told. While others were content with answers from textbooks and tradition, you dug deeper. You searched for meaning beneath the surface. You were drawn to ancient texts, forbidden histories, esoteric truths. Why? Because your soul has lived before, and in those lives, you held keys, sacred codes, spiritual technologies, divine blueprints. And now, in this lifetime, they are awakening again. This is why modern life often feels dull to you, shallow, plastic. You crave depth, symbolism, meaning. You don't just want to know how things work, you want to know why they were created in the first place. Chosen ones are natural seekers, but more than that, they are rememberers. What others must study to understand, you feel to your core. I remember visiting a hidden monastery in the Himalayas. There, carved into stone older than empires, was a single phrase: the truth is hidden in the one who dares to remember. I will never forget the way it echoed, not in the room, but in my bones. You, dear one, are that kind of soul, the kind that remembers, and with that remembrance comes responsibility. Because not everyone is ready for the truths you carry. And that's why your knowledge was hidden, not to be hoarded, but to be protected. Until now. Now. The world is shifting. The veil is thinning. The hunger for truth is growing. And you are being called to speak, to share, to teach, but not through preaching instead. Through presence. Your life is a sacred scroll. Every experience, a chapter. Every scar, a footnote. And through living authentically, you awaken others. You remind them of what they forgot. You guide them back to their own truth. This hidden knowledge isn't just spiritual, it's practical. It teaches you how to move through life with grace, how to read energy, how to speak with intention, how to live in harmony with the divine rhythm. It connects you to the ancestors, the star beings, the angels, the source, and when the time is right, it flows through you like poetry, like prophecy, like a sacred remembering. So don't be afraid to speak the things that come to you in dreams, in silence, in sudden knowing. Don't doubt the visions, the downloads, the insights. You are not making it up. You are remembering what the world tried to make you forget. You are the keeper of hidden knowledge, and the time to reveal it has come. So here we are standing at the end of this revelation. And yet, truly, this is just the beginning. You've journeyed through the signs. You've seen the marks, and now you understand. You are not here by chance. You are here by divine design. You've discovered the truth of your divine protection, the wisdom etched into your soul, the influence you carry across dimensions. You've faced the solitude, the resistance, the fire of transmutation. You've embraced your intuition. You've remembered the knowledge hidden within, all of it, leading you to one truth. You are a chosen one, but knowing it is only the first step. The real journey begins when you embody it, when you rise from the ashes of doubt and walk in the fullness of who you were always meant to be. This is no longer about surviving. It's about activating, about stepping boldly into the sacred mission your soul signed up for long before you were born. So what now first? Embrace the call fully. No more hiding. No more shrinking. No more waiting for permission. You are the permission. You are the sign. Second, begin to integrate the truth. Let it inform how you speak, how you live, how you love. Let it rewrite the narratives you inherited from fear and replace them with blueprints from your divine self. And third, connect with others on the path. You were never meant to walk alone forever. Your tribe, your soul family, your fellow light bearers, they're searching for you too. Speak, shine, they will find you. And if you ever forget, return to this message. Let it remind you of who you are. You are the torch in the dark, the spark in the void, the echo of ancient truth in a world starving for meaning. You are the proof that the divine still speaks. And soon, in the next chapter of this unfolding story, we'll dive deeper into your gifts, your purpose, your power. We'll explore how to develop the spiritual technologies already inside you, how to walk in your highest frequency, and how to become a living portal for healing and transformation on this earth. But for now, pause, breathe, let this truth settle. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not lost. You are aligning. You are not waiting for a sign. You are the sign. Welcome home. Chosen one, the real work begins now.